Hello and welcome to Tiger Vision. We are Duval with head men's basketball coach, Coach Cabral Huff. And we got a special guest in the building.
He's already started, man. I can't with this
Um, is it Coach Prime? Is it not Coach Prime? I don't know.
He'll have to tell you why he's doing that. He'll have to tell you.
Listen, we got a great show. As you can see, we've already gotten started. This is episode 4. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Just really quickly, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. Make sure that you're following everything Edward Waters Men Basketball at EWU_MBB. EWU_MBB. We'll keep you up to date with everything men's basketball. But feel free to search. Go follow Edward Waters. The athletics page does an outstanding job of keeping everybody up to date with all things athletics. If you're tuning in and you're watching us on Twitter, on the Love of the Game Twitter, feel free, jump over, like, subscribe. Love of the Game podcast on YouTube. You can watch us there as well. And for your audio listening pleasure, you can listen to this podcast on a delay on SoundCloud. It'll be about a 24-hour delay. But if you're getting a run in and you can't watch it live, you're not paying for YouTube Premium and your phone goes dark and YouTube shuts off, you don't even have to worry about it. Just search Love of the Game podcast on SoundCloud. And you can listen to this podcast on SoundCloud for free as well. I'm gonna toss over the introductions for you. It's been great guests. I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be another great guest. Please introduce our special guest for this afternoon.
Pleased to have another one of our assistant coaches, Brandon Britt, who hails from your hometown, Louisville, Kentucky. You know, brought him all the way down to Duval, and really excited about the work he's put in and what he's going to do for not just our program but for this university. So excited to have him on the show to tell the listeners a little bit about himself and probably why he's wearing those shades.
What's going on, man? Coach Britt, man. I just want to give a shout out to Coach Prime, man. We're in support of the brother with everything he's doing for the university, the college sports, for his athletes. So, you know, definitely want to pay homage, man, to one of our generational goats. You know what I mean? So on and off the field, it's coach, mentor. So, you know, it's personal.
Hey man, definitely shout out to Coach Prime, a HBCU graduate. Shows a lot of love to HBCUs. Of course, former head football coach at Jackson State. Shows a lot of love to Jackson. I love how he repeatedly tells reporters when it comes to his kids and when it comes to what he does with programs. He continues to emphasize, we were doing this last year. You just weren't paying attention.
Right.
We did the same thing. This is the same kid. But you didn't respect it because we were at a HBCU. Now you see that a good player is a good player. It doesn't matter where they're coming from.
Facts.
While we're doing that, what do you guys think about Coach Prime's ability to try to change the perception? Because I think we all understand that it's great talent playing at all levels of HBCU sports. But what does it say when a kid like Shedeur puts up even bigger numbers at a Power 5 than he was putting up at a HBCU?
I just feel that it just lets you know that we have young men and young women that are being overlooked that happen to play at HBCUs but can play anywhere. and you add into the fact that a lot of high school athletes are being looked over because of the transfer portal and everything that's going on. But this is an example of why young men and young women can play at any level, not just at an HBCU level. And if you take that over to Coach Prime, it just lets you know that a coach that coaches at an HBCU level can coach at any level, can motivate at any level, can communicate at any level, can mentor at any level. And so I think that's why there's been he's galvanized a lot of people. Whether you like him or love him, he's galvanized. That's why it was the most watched football game at 10 o'clock at night last Saturday. It did not matter. So I think that's what he's been able to do.
For sure. I definitely did not get a lot of sleep. I was up all the way through watching a football game.
Definitely motivating that he was able to go from, Jackson State home to Colorado as a coach to have success, and his son at the quarterback position. You know what I'm saying? Showing that he's got the smarts, he's got the accuracy, he's got the total package which you want in a quarterback. That he got it done at HBCU, and they've been doing it on the biggest scale at the high major level. So his resources increased. Obviously, they come from HBCU to Power 5. And his numbers increased with his resources, which means he was always that good anyway, So I appreciate, Coach Prime and Shador, Travis Hunter for, putting HBCUs on the map, with even going there in the first place, and then still getting it done on the big stage too as well. Just let you know that, really don't matter where you come from, to all the athletes, coming up, that you can find a guy anywhere. And me and Coach Huff kind of talk about these things as we're out recruiting too as well. You don't always have to come from the powerhouse programs to find a dude. So as long as you do your research, do your own homework, and trust your eyes. So you can always find guys pretty much anywhere, as well as coaches too as well. So a lot of it has to do with put a certain polo on one of us two, as coaches, whether it's Stanford or whether it's FAMU or anything like that, we're going to be able to have success, wherever we go, so definitely shout out to, to them guys, man, for making do what they do even on the biggest stage. So
I definitely agree with that. And I was asked about that, Huff, as you were hired here at Edward Waters.
Mm-hmm.
I was asked about what my expectations were, what you were going to do, what would the program look like, and I answered it the exact same way that Coach Britt just answered it about Deion Sanders. He's going to do what he's always done. You're the quality level of athlete that are going to get inside of your program. The standard is going to be raised academically, from a character standpoint. You're going to get longer. You're going to get taller. You're going to get more athletic. The quality is going to improve from day one. And I think if they look at the type of kids that you guys have offered, I think if people look at some of the commitments, I know there's been no roster announcements and all that stuff yet. But if you look at the signees and you look at the commitments, I think people can see that right away, probably.
Yeah, we don't shy away from what we do recruiting wise, and whether it's you seeing this EWU out, this logo out in Florida, or you're gonna see it, and like I said, in our rectangle of recruiting, where are we 6 hours or less from? Whether that's Charlotte, North Carolina, whether that's Miami, Florida, whether that's Atlanta, Georgia, whether that's Mobile, Alabama, you're gonna know who Edward Waters is, and you won't go down without a fight. If you're a student athlete that we feel can help us win, then we're going to fight for you to become a Tiger. And we don't care who we've got to go against in that matter. And we don't make any bones about what we're trying to do and the young men that we're trying to recruit here in Duval, and not just being great basketball players, but being great young men, like on and off the court. And I think as much as we're preparing for the season or what we're doing right now, we're seeing that as a staff, the kind of young men that we brought in and that have remained.
That definitely reminds me a lot of what I was watching one of Deion's speeches today, and he goes, it won't be because of me. That was his tag. of in every interview he went in, he said he told him exactly what he was going to do. And when he walked away from the interview, whether he got hired or not, he said, it won't be because of me. I gave you everything. I told you exactly what we are going to accomplish. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But it won't, because I thought that was just an outstanding mental state of like, this is my philosophy. This is what I believe in. And this is how we're going to go forward. Because Rick, Deion Sanders is not our special guest today. You are. We want to get to know you a little bit. I know how you and I met. Could you imagine from that first conversation? I believe we met at the LIT, a high school basketball event in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was just a quick, hey, dap up, handshake. Hey man, I want to bring you guys down to Georgia. I think you got some talent. Could you ever imagine that? A year and a half later, that leads you to being in Jacksonville, coaching at the Division II level at Edward Waters, man. What type? Talk about the type of ride that was, the roller coaster that year and a half was.
I mean, it was just wild, man. How everything like ended up aligning that way, and I believe like God made that happen. All those transactions, all those interactions, and ultimately leading up to what's going on right now, and then us continue to build our relationship. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was all just part of the plan, man, and just happened how it happened. You know what I'm saying? But I'm definitely grateful of all the opportunities that are presented with and all the things that that transpired over that last year and a half. You know what I'm saying? The good and the bad, whether depending on how you look at it. But I'm definitely grateful to be where I'm at now, and definitely appreciate the time I had back in Louisville at Western. And if I'm mistaken, we both Fern Creek alums, correct?
We are. Same high school, different years. I was 98.
Yeah, that was 2007. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So you at Western High School were head coach there. Of course, you did. You came into Western, took that job. You had high school experience. You had college experience before taking that job. The HBCU experience at the college level before taking that Western job. But I don't think that people understand how tough it may have been for you to leave Western because of what you actually built and what you had going on there. I don't know what's the rules. So can he even speak about any of these guys that he had, being that he was the coach there? I don't want to get anybody.
Keep it broad. You can just talk about the program. Keep it broad.
Okay. As a program, you won't mention anybody by name.
Yes, right.
You had some studs, like you had some dudes, right? What was it like, building that program into what it was, and then deciding that now was the time for you to go back and jump back into college coaching?
Well, first of all, it was one of the toughest decisions I've made in my life. It was probably the toughest coaching career decision I had to make in my life. Coming in at Western, my first year, I knew immediately, all right, we didn't have the guys, we didn't have the Jimmys and the Joes that could help you win, especially physically. In basketball, it's a thinking man's game, so we weren't there mentally. I knew I had to. It's either I was going to sit back and cry about the adversity that I'd walked into. I could sit back and complain about what I didn't have. So now it's time to get to work. You know what I'm saying? So I had to definitely put in a lot of unseen hours, developing, building relationships, and eventually getting a team that was a formidable competitor in the state of Kentucky, to eventually end up being, and having some rankings in the top 10 that never happened at the school before. And you would have to be there to understand what the dynamic of the school was, the community, the mentality of the kids, and unfortunately, some of the staff there. There was where winning wasn't important, wasn't first. That ended up changing in a sense. When we got around my fourth and fifth year, I got a couple of guys I'm not going to name who were end up, for ESPN 4 stars at this current moment. Having multiple Division I kids, and some but not all didn't start there. That's where they end up, but through their hard work, so huge credit goes out to those kids and parents that made a commitment to believe in something that didn't exist, at that current time at that school. You're from Louis, you understand kind of the history of Western. And I'm not gonna say it's all bad, but it's not the first school that somebody is going to pick, to send their child to. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a grind, all those years, but ultimately had a vision, and nobody's gonna see a vision until they see it. They gonna believe in nothing until it starts showing. You know what I'm saying? But fortunately, I ran into some kids and some parents that I was able to explain the vision, and they end up seeing it as well. And so I'm glad the kids end up, even though I end up leaving, they end up learning something from the situation. You know what I'm saying? So, and I always tell them, even to this day, even when it's time to pick college, you're only going to hop in my car with me and ride to the next destination because it's going to end at some point, and just understanding that. But what are you going to get while you're riding passenger to me or riding behind me in the car? What are you learning from me along the way? Life lessons, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody knows basketball is going to stop at some point, some sooner than late, others, but it's understanding that, what are you going to take from this game? Are you going to use the game or are you going to let it use you? So, after I made the decision to leave IUS, 2 years there with Wiley Brown, shout out to coach, who's, I believe, a 11-time conference champion there. He laid the groundwork, the framework for me, taught me how to work hard, taught me how to be early, taught me how to, he laid the groundwork of my coaching, my core, so glad I was able to get from him what I got. And then eventually, I was like, hey, coach, I'm thinking about being a, high school coach. I was already a teacher. So like, I'm thinking of being a high school head coach. So, me and I had some talks about it. And he was like, you need to go for it. That's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to help you do whatever needs to be done to get there. So I went out on a limb, and of course, I had to take the kind of bottom of the barrel, job in the area. You know what I'm saying? So I got there, I was like, all right, it's time to get to work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very, very challenge oriented. So I'm kind of guy that somebody said you can't do something, it's time to see it. You know what I'm saying? Time you got to show me. You know what I'm saying? And I got my tweet I have right now that's pinned at the top of my page on my Twitter is don't put your limitations on me. So when I first got the job, it's the first thing everybody told me that was everything that wasn't going to happen. Nobody's going to come to the school. The kids won't buy in. They won't play. They won't play hard. They won't play smart. You won't get no talent. You won't win this. You won't do this. You won't do that. And most of those things were accomplished through time. And that pinned tweet's still there right now to this very second. You know what I'm saying? Because people always want to put just because they can't do something, they want to put it on you. So definitely that's something that resonated with me and stuck with me because there was people I was close to that was telling me, don't do this, don't take that job. I wouldn't put that on my worst enemy. Like, what? Okay. But I love the game. I love every part of it, from the development to the, don't use the recruiting word in high school, but, so now I get to recruit. High school couldn't do that, obviously, but, we had some excellent academic programs at Western High School, but, so I just, when I went out and got to work, man, and, had a good 5 years, had definitely some winning seasons, turned the program around, and, feel like, those kids left their stamp in that program, so, and then hopefully, so we'll be in good hands moving forward with Julio Anthony, a guy that I know that, is going to continue to try to continue to success the program. So, but it was definitely the hardest decision I made in my coaching career up to this point, up to going into my 9th year right now. But, it also wasn't that hard when I got to know Coach Huff, got to see his vision, and, and I wasn't too worried about like my ego going from being a head coach to an assistant because Huff's a real down to earth dude, very knowledgeable, and I feel like I'm going to learn a lot still with coaching with him. So, and I'm always wanting to learn new things, no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? So especially with basketball. So, and that's also what I want to do the rest of my life. So it was definitely tough. Leaving the boys, but I still talk to them. I talked to a couple, here and there. So it was a tough decision, but it was time to make one for myself and my family. Because after spending years like being at a place like that in inner city public school, all the people who coach there or work there know that you're not just coaching basketball. It's the last thing you get to do is coach basketball. You're a counselor, you're an Uber driver, your father figure, your uncle, your big brother. You know what I'm saying? So I've sat in courtrooms, I've sat in plenty of hospitals. I've sat in family counseling sessions. You can name it. It's happened. You know what I'm saying? So I put a lot of time into make sure everybody else was good, everybody else was straight, but I had to make this decision for me. Fortunately and unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? So.
Got you. It was one of the toughest questions for me to answer anytime I got a phone call, whether it was, hey, I want to bring Western High School to the Lemon Street Classic. And it was, well, where are they from? Louisville, Kentucky. Wait. Western High School, not Ballard, not Trinity, not no, Western. This is the school that you want, and they need to be in the hardest bracket. So it was a lot of questions about the school, and then other questions of just trying to describe to people, again, not to put Western down, right? That would have been my home school if I stayed at my home school. I come from that neighborhood, so I totally understand. I am those kids to a large degree. I don't think people understand how difficult it was to do what you did. There's no amount of recruiting. You can't recruit your way to what you did at Western High School. You can't, even if you try. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for all my people in Atlanta, I think that asked me about it. I was like, hey, just imagine if one day Carver High School was Wheeler High School. That's the best way for me to, no shade to Carver High School or anybody else, but that's just the truth. That's what I watched. It was remarkable. It was remarkable, and watching those kids interact and seeing the love that they have for you and the staff, it was something to see. That told me that there was something special. Something special going on for you to be able to do that. By the end of it, you're playing a national schedule. You were in Georgia, came to Lemon Street, won the Lemon Street championship in your bracket, in the toughest bracket. Then you guys were on to what I think it was New Orleans. Playing New Orleans, you had teams come, and I was at your home game at Western. You had,
Vashon,
yeah, traditional powerhouse. Yeah. How do you do that again at Western? How do you do that? How do you get Vashon to come and play a road game at Western High School? Like that? That's pretty amazing stuff.
Relationships, have some guys that can compete against, the guys on the likes of those teams. Your Vashons who have a plethora of Division I players and multiple, state championships. Your Indianapolis Cathedrals with Xavier Booker, who will be probably a top 5 draft pick after this year at Michigan State now. Cincinnati Taft, very, very high level team that won state the previous year in Ohio. Isidore Newman in Louisiana, who won state, back to back his last couple of years. Miami Norland, another Florida State powerhouse out of Miami. I mean, it's just, I always tell my guys, if you say you want to be the best, you strive to do this or that. You got to match up and go against whoever the best. There's Alexander's out of Georgia going to win the state championship, 6A, I believe, 6A coach, 7A.
Right, correct.
Yeah, so it's like, man, we got to go against the best if we want to really compete. So if you guys want to say you want to go to college and go Division I or D2 or whatever it is your aspirations are, you got to go out and you got to prove, you got to play, you got to, you know what I'm saying? So, and I knew, just being all the way honest, like Kentucky's not necessarily a hotbed for Division I talent or NBA talent, anything like that. We have some really good players, and the 2025 class in the state is really strong, but it's not a perennial place where it's a hotbed for recruiting or things like that. So, I just made the point to definitely get out and go get some of the best in the country, you know what I'm saying? So see where our guys were at. I definitely want to go get some of the best coaches, the best programs, you know what I'm saying? The competitive side of me, not that it was about me, but I definitely wanted to, compete at a high level because, I'm a competitor, at the end of the day. So, I had to go out there and see where we was at, man. And, some of those teams we had success against and some we didn't. But, it's part of the game. I told my guys, make the game come down to makes and misses, man. So let's make good decisions. Let's play hard. Let's execute. So put our best foot forward. And, we're going to live with the results, prepare the best we can.
What are some of the lessons, man, that you learned from being at Western and being a head coach in an environment like that, developing those kids the way you did, that you were able to bring and lean on during the early times at Water since you've been here?
I definitely, it's kind of a mental toughness thing, getting through adversity, not being entitled to anything, because when you come from humble beginnings, it makes you very appreciative when you do get things that you didn't have before, So coming from Western and even my college coach definitely he was huge on mental toughness. So he would throw challenges at you, challenge after challenge, and you got to fight through those things. That's life, you know what I'm saying? So you're going to have all type of things thrown at you that, in life, you're either going to fold or you're going to fight through them and figure it out, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, and I tell my team all the time, I was a big communicator. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one of the most underrated things that a coach can do for him and his players is communicate with them and really tap into their minds and their psyche with certain things. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I would be in timeouts telling my guys, my guy might have a game-winning free throw on the line to go on the playoffs, but I'm talking to him about pressure. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about this free throw. It's just a game. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you what the pressure is. Pressure is telling my baby girl or my son that, Daddy, I'm hungry, but I ain't got no money to feed him. That's pressure. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling my wife, man, I lost my job. What we going to do? We got to get evicted. That's pressure. You making a missing this free throw, don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So let's go out there, have fun with it, do your best. You know what I'm saying? I'm be proud of you. I'm going to love you anyway when this is over with. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to wake up, the sun going to shine the next day. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? So main thing I got from Western is mental toughness, man, and working hard. And it's not being entitled, man, because it's real easy when you're in a comfortable situation. You feel like everything's just going to come to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I take with me. Definitely, I feel like if I was able to, in a sense, sell what I was selling at Western versus what I was going against around the city, around the state, Edward Waters, Jacksonville, Florida, easy. So, and we're going to go get the best available talent at our level and above our level, and we're going to win. So it is what it is. That's what I got from it. I have no intention on being anything less than a winner, joining winning. Coach Huff's been a winner. Coach Reedy's been a winner. So this is what it is, man.
Got you. Huff, I'm going to go to you, man. What were your thoughts on as you evaluated or even considered Coach Britt to be a part of the staff? What were some of the things that you saw then and then some of the things that you see now?
Oh, man, it was at that Lemon Street Classic when I was able to watch him in action and not even recognizing at that time that we would be sitting here right now. And you're just watching and not knowing much about Western, but was watching how his guys interacted with him, how hard they played, their defensive mindset, but their ability to have high basketball IQ. So when I had the opportunity to start speaking with him about making this move, everything lined up. And so it's funny that coach said, God really put this thing in motion. Because if I'm not out recruiting at Lemon Street Classic, I don't get a chance to see him. If you don't make that connection with him to get his team down there, we're not sitting here today having this conversation about that. And so everything that I saw from his team has carried over. But I take it even further because coach goes above and beyond of what's needed to make sure we have started and got on the ground running for our program. People don't realize that. Gotta make sure I say it the right way. Coach hadn't signed paperwork yet and was already doing the job. I'm gonna meet you somewhere, coach. Don't worry about it, I'll meet you. Let's get it done. Right? Then a lot of guys that say they want a job. A lot of guys say they want to get into this business and they want to do whatever it takes to win and whatever it takes to become a college coach or come back to college coaching. But he showed that very early. And, coach had signed on the dotted line, but he's got to finish his year where he is. And, coach, we got some recruits on campus. All right, just pick me up from the airport. I'll be there, and we'll get it done. Whatever it took, coach was willing to do it. And that still goes on right now. His attention to detail. I say that about Coach Reed. I say that about Coach Britt. Their attention to detail, man, has been really special for our program right now. Like, you know how I am, Dre, and I'm meticulous. I'm detail-oriented. I'm organized. And so if I can turn something over to somebody else, that's a lot of trust I have in them. Like, to say, go get it done. And Coach Britt and I had a conversation. We were out recruiting last week. And what did you say, Britt? You said, I don't want to mess it up. You asked me something about my decision to pick you guys and not micromanage. I don't know exactly how you said it.
I remember what you said. Yeah, it was something of that nature. It was like you not micromanagers, like you kind of let us, you say it to like being a head coach of our area type. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you not micromanaging us, and that shows that you do trust the guys that you hire. You know what I'm saying? And that does speak volumes. Be working for you. You know what I'm saying? And like I was a little. Of course, in my back of my mind, going from a head coach to assistant coach, like what the transition is going to be like, and then understanding like it's going to be how Coach Huff wants it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you still give me that freedom, and that it's definitely, I won't say it's important, but it feels good to know that you got that trust. You know what I'm saying? So,
and funny story, we talk about organization, right, Dre? So like. I had a calendar ready for our guys like 2 months before they got on campus, right? And we done met as a staff about whom we gonna have, weights, a week. I wasn't even a week. It's maybe like 3 days. We have a staff meeting and Britt goes, Coach, I think we ought to change weight time. What? But he made it. He didn't give me a problem without a solution. He gave me the problem. Here's a solution, and why I think we should do it this way. Where he made me go change it. Like, you know what? All right, let's flip it. You got a point. Right. So I always get on him like, yeah, the guy that made me change my calendar like 3 days before I'm giving it out.
Hey man, hey that is something of working with Huff that you'll get to know like it months in advance before anybody is thinking about it. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's done.
I appreciate that. I really do. Definitely.
Have you seen the Notebook yet, Brent? Has the Notebook been pulled out? Has he seen that yet, Huff?
I don't know if he's paid attention to it as well. It's on my desk, so I don't know if he's really like.
Is it like 6 or 8 inches big?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop giving away Huff secrets on this show, man. I'm gonna stop. That's
I've seen it, man. It ain't none of my business. I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I don't know. No man, we on camera. Ain't none of my business.
What do you guys think in regards to? I know. You and I did a lot of talking about this around the pandemic time, and shortly before the pandemic, there was a big push to get kids to consider attending HBCUs. Huff, you have since been a head coach at the NAIA level at a HBCU. So now at this point, this is your second stop as a head coach at the HBCU level. You are part of that conversation in a very big way. Even being a high school coach, you are a proponent of HBCUs as you had worked at one previously at the Division I level. Have you seen any changes today? And I'll open this question up to both of you guys as far as kids considering HBCU schools. Have you seen a difference in how you're viewed from, because back then, coach, when we were having the conversation, it was just making sure high school coaches took college head coaches seriously from the HBCU level. Have you seen any progression since you and I have had that conversation? And Brent, I'll open it up to you as well to talk about your perception of what you've seen out on the recruiting trail also.
I think we have, man. I think a lot of that goes to the success of Dion, to be honest with you, the success, of others in different areas, and also the branding that we've done a better job at HBCUs of branding ourselves, of getting out to let them know who we are and what we're about, no matter what level you are. And I think that's been really big for us. So now we can walk in the rooms, high school, gymnasiums, JUCO events, if there's a transfer kid and they're not turning their nose up at a EWU or any HBCU. I think, that has changed. Is it where we want it to be yet? No. We're still not on that same level playing field where people see the SIAC or the CIAA in Division II as the same level as a Peach Belt or, any other conference in Division II. And we've got to do a better job to make sure we get there, right? And that starts with presidents like our very own Dr. Faison, who push and understand, and athletics is the front porch of your university, so to speak. It speaks to our athletic director, Dr. Ivana Rich, who they don't just put words behind it. They put their money behind it. They put their actions behind it. And you're seeing that at not just Edward Waters, but you're seeing it at a lot of HBCUs now. And you're seeing people gravitate to different things, whether it's the HBCU All-Star game that Travis Williams does at the Final Four every year. That thing has taken off. Or it's the classics or tournaments or exempt games that are going on in Division I that Chris Paul has been a part of. Things are happening, but we've got to sustain them now, and we've got to take them to even a better level. And some of that, again, just goes back to branding. It goes back to getting your name out there where, Coach, I'm going to be in your gym whether you got a player or not. You're not just going to hear from me in February when I've seen some other guys recruit them. No, you're going to hear from me every year, whether you got a player or not. You're going to see me. You're going to understand what our recruiting area is. You're going to know what kind of players we like. So it's not just, well, I haven't heard from any HBCUs, because that was what we were talking about those years ago. Well, we don't hear from HBCUs. That's different. That's changed. When now we even have an HBCU top 100 elite camp that travels to different cities. So HBCU programs, colleges, universities can go recruit them. And just like EWU and just like, whether it's Morehouse or whoever it is, there is something about an HBCU that's different. That's different. And if I could tell any family, for us, it's about family here in Duval. And you're not going to find a better family from top to bottom, from that person that's at the dorm to the person that's in the calf to the person the president who's going to be running up and down the sidelines, cheering us on basketball. You're not going to find anything better than that.
Man, I got to say, Huff, I have been extremely impressed. Not just saying this because we do the show for Edward Waters, but to see how upfront and vocal and supportive and visible, how visible your president is at Edward Waters, and how visible the athletic director, Dr. Rich, is at Edward Waters, pushing athletics forward. But I got to give the conference some love too.
Yep.
The media day for the SIAC, as I've been paying attention to it just over the last 2 years, is better run and more invested in than several Division I conferences media days that I've been to. And I made sure that I wrote them a nice note and said that because it's an investment into every program that's a part of the conference.
Yep.
So I hope they continue to make that investment and increase that visibility, because it is all a part of the package, right? It's not just each school being all on their own, right? The conference has to buy in. And looking at the basketball tournament last year being shown on ESPN, looking forward to seeing what the TV package is going to be this season. But I mean, the media day and what is put behind that, the planning and how nice it was. I had to make sure I walk up to them and say, hey, and I called the conference by name in that conversation. I won't do it on the show. I named off 2 other conferences. I had to cover their media days. And I was like, man, their media day, and this is at the Division II level, was better, much better than these other guys' media day that looked like it was just thrown together. So
right.
I think it's right conference, right school, right support, and it could be to the moon before you know it.
We talk about alignment in our program, right? And we tell our guys, you got to be aligned. Like if your car starts drifting to the right or left, like you get out of alignment, right? And you end up in a ditch. But if you get that car and you're on the right track, man, you can take off and you can get where you're trying to go. Probably cut down the time that your GPS is saying, if you're really doing it right. Well, it's the same thing when you're in alignment, when your administration and your athletic director and the people that you bring into your program are all aligned for the same goal. It's not, yes, we want results. We're in a result-oriented business, which means wins, right? If we don't get wins, and somewhere down the road, I'm not sitting here talking to you. But we also know the process of what you got to take. And I think somewhere we've went away from the process of developing these young men on and off the court. And I'll tell anybody, and I'll say it loud and proud, if my results don't match, it won't be because I didn't do it the way I know how to do it. And that's developing men the right way on and off the court. They're going to get better as basketball players, but they're going to walk away better men.
100%. Coach, I don't want to go too far. We owe some thank yous.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things that got done. You guys were out in the community. So want to talk about that experience, but also we've got the elite camps that we talked about on this show that took place, and some thank yous are owed. It's a lot of kids in these photos, man.
A lot of size. That guy that's on this show right now, a lot of that goes to him. We talk about being organized, and you talk about the 2 guys that I brought on staff, as well as Coach Chuck. But I challenged and gave those guys to be head coaches of their area. So Coach Reedy had been a JUCO coach. So we made him the recruiting coordinator of JUCO. Coach Britt had a lot of knowledge of the high school realm, not just because his team was good, but because he had some guys on his team, he's been able to see a lot of high schools. So he hit the ground running, not just in Florida, but everywhere, of making relationships and building relationships. And when you can have an elite camp that not only gets 2 other programs to come watch it. So again, we can't take everybody, but we're trying to help young men get somewhere. But have the type of talent that we had at our elite camp, it doesn't just sit on me. It's a lot of it goes, and most of it goes to Coach Britt. He did a lot of that legwork. But we're really thankful for those young men that came from as far away as Kentucky. See how I did that? You know where that happened, right? To come to elite camp and put on a show, and people walked away with some offers, whether it was from us or one of the other 2 schools that were involved. So, Coach Britt, I don't know what you want to say about elite camp.
Oh no, man. I'm just you hired me for a reason. I'm just doing what I do, man. Just doing what I do.
Hey, Coach, yeah, all your assistants come on here and they just as humble as they possibly can be. I heard that there was like over 10 guys, 12 guys or something that was over 6'8" or something crazy like that. Like, I heard y'all turned up. I heard y'all really turned up at this elite camp, that there was trees. It looked like the redwood forest at elite camp is what I was told, man. Is that true, Coach Britt? Is it true?
Yeah, man, it's true, man. We have some dinosaurs in the gym, man. We got some guys that can go get it. I wish we could have them all, but we can't. But I'm like, my job as assistant, make it to where Coach Huff, look, you pick which dinosaur you want. You want T-Rex? You want the Brontosaurus? You want the Triceratops? Which one you want? You know what I'm saying? I like them all, but how you want them? You know what I'm saying? You want a little more close? You want to stretch? You want an athlete? You want a pogo stick? What you want, man? So it's my job to bring the guys in, and you know what I'm saying. I'm just doing what I was asked to do. You know, that's what he hired me for. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go hard for that man, like I would with John Calipari or Phil Jackson. You know what I'm saying? So it's who I am. It's in my DNA. You know what I mean? To go try to be the best at what I do. Whether it's go get kids. You know what I'm saying? High level kids, they could all potentially play on our team at our level. So so that's all I'm doing, man. Just doing my job, man.
I love it, man. Got a humble group of guys. Well, none of y'all really go full Dion and tell us what it really is, but I see it. You guys were also out in the community. I think Coach. This is the thing that I love about your programs the most. You did it. You've done it at every single stop. I love this the most, man. Talk about you guys being out, doing your community touches, out in Jacksonville, Florida.
Man, that's just us, trying to touch the lives of these, the community of Jacksonville, just 5-7 minutes away from campus, going to the YMCA, putting on a little basketball clinic for these young men and women at the YMCA. And that actually happened today. And so
this was today.
Yes, like 30 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
And the guys enjoyed themselves, man, and just helping those young people enjoy the game of basketball. So we had a blast, man. And then, our community will see us out. It's not just what we're about in men's basketball, but it's a directive and what our athletic director is all about as well, Ivana Rich. And I think you have that photo as well, because on Monday, our whole athletic department, as well as our first lady, and we got out into the community around Edward Waters, and we cleaned up our neighborhood because we're a part of that Newtown community here in Duval, in Jacksonville. And every sport was there trying to help out. And as you can see, you can't even see all the faces because, they didn't have class at that time. They were out there supporting it It was spearheaded by Coach Marla, who's the assistant track and field cross-country coach. And it's what we're about at Edward Waters. We're about our community. We're going to serve our community.
Well, I can tell you there'll be a show put on for the community this week, or I'm sorry, not this week. It's next week as homecoming week approaches.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. You got homecoming starting that week, October 2nd. And man, you guys got it lined up. Like, this is a full schedule.
Oh man, it's I can only imagine what it's going to be that whole week, leading up into our homecoming football game versus Lane at 2 p.m. Our student engagement, our student affairs, Dr. Hodges, along with Dr. Rich in athletics, they come together, and the president, Dr. Faison, and everybody in our campus, they come together to make sure it's an experience because whether you're an EWC alum or EWU alum, or you're still on campus right now, or you just grew up watching us, we want you in Jacksonville at some point that week to experience homecoming. It will be a show. I'm excited. You know, obviously we have some no bag policies, but you can find all this online. Again, our website is very good. Our social media presence, Instagram and Twitter are very good, and the prohibited items as well. I would urge you to get there early for parking. If you haven't got your tailgate stuff yet, get that. You'll probably see men's basketball out there helping you with parking for tailgating, as that's what we do for football games. But we're excited about that, man. And we know football is about to turn this thing around starting this week, taking care of business versus my alma mater. Sorry, Morehouse, but they're going to have to take you down this week in football. So
got to do what needs to be done.
Yep.
Absolutely. Guys, I don't want to leave this out because I think this is one of the most important things that we go. We're not going to pass around the offering plate, but it is important to continue to give when I see what is being done and the support that you guys are getting, when I see the wonderful gear that coaches are getting, that kids are getting, the uniforms that football is getting. If we want HBCUs to run like high level programs, we have to donate and give like high level alums and fans. So there's a shared responsibility, especially when you have a program like Edward Waters and you feel like the administration is going about it and doing things the right way. Which I can say without a shadow of a doubt that definitely looks to be the case. So, Huff, you want to bring us in on this one?
Definitely. It's a donation link for athletics where you can donate to athletics and or a particular program. Do both. But at the HBCU level, man, we just can't wait to homecoming and say, I'm giving back when I come to homecoming. It takes more than that to run a program. I don't care if you're at the NAIA level, Division III, Division II, Division I, junior college. Like, you have to give more than just homecoming. Like, in many times, that's what happens at HBCUs. And our athletic programs, as much as we want them to win, as much as we say we want to be on the same platform, the same level playing field as our PWI colleagues, then we've got to give back. We've got to make sure that we are donating to our athletic programs and our schools in general. And this is just an opportunity to do that. It is on our Facebook alumni page. We can send it to you, whether it's Coach Britt or myself. Coach Britt is kind of taking the fundraising for our program by the horn. There are a lot of things we want to do in our program that have nothing to do for us as a coaching staff, but everything to do for our young men. Everything to do for our young men in our program and our future young men who will come through this program. We want to lead because at some point it won't be Coach Cabral Huff as the head coach of Edward Waters. It won't be Coach Britt as the assistant coach at Edward Waters. There's going to be somebody else somewhere. Maybe it's 5, 10, 20. We want to leave this place better than we found it. How do we do that? We do it by raising funds to help this program and all the athletic programs at EWU.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Guys, we're coming up on time here for episode 4. Um, Coach, this is a question that I like to ask, Coach Britt. This question I like to ask: is there anything on campus that surprised you about working for Huff when you first got there, or is there anything about the school that surprised you when you first showed up at EW?
Um, what surprised me? What surprised me is hearing the stories about Dr. Faison and how excited he is about sports and how he is turned up at the games, the football games, the basketball games. You know what I'm saying? It feels good knowing that the guy in charge of the school is in full support of sports and understanding what sports does for young people. Help changing lives. So that's something that definitely stood out to me, and how he not only shows up, but he invest in our athletics here at Edward Waters. So this definitely was a surprise to me. With Huff, something that surprised me is finding somebody that I'm coaching with outside of my boy, my bro, Brandon Anderson, who's head coach of Louisville Central High School right now. That's somebody who's seeing him be as passionate as I am about recruiting and relationships and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Because every coach has their niches, certain things, but I definitely feel like it's an important thing to definitely build relationships. Even like I said, even going to build a relationship with coaches who necessarily don't have guys that can play maybe at your level at this time, but still going to check their team out and be in support of them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a guy that's been familiar with that, and I've also been on the other end of some coaches who won't even make an attempt to get to know you as being a former high school coach who was a coach at a certain level to want to look in your gym, but then turn around later in the future and then they're trying to be a best friend because they want somebody on your team. You know what I'm saying? So that was something that stood out to me as far as the school with the president and Coach Huff. But so yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't say he's never met somebody that likes to drive all the time.
That's surprising too. I'll be having to ask like, you want me to drive, bro? Like, yeah, I'm good. I'll let you know. I mean, okay, like I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm a road warrior. I get to do that. You know what I mean? But we'll talk about something that happened when I was driving too. Once we get off camera, we ain't telling everybody that one.
No.
Well, Huff, that won't be the only surprise. You guys dropped a schedule on everybody.
We did. It's on our website. I don't know where you want to start. I don't know where you want to start with that.
You know I want to start with South Florida, Coach. You know I want to start with South Florida. You know the battles between you and Coach Abdur Rahim made his Cinderella run to the NCAA tournament, and now he's at South Florida. You playing against some kids that you know very well, and you bringing the Tigers down to South Florida to play the Bulls.
Always excited and thankful that Coach Amir allowed this to happen in both our first years at new institutions, and knowing how it can help, especially us here at EWU, to get a chance to go against his talented bunch at South Florida. So we're excited about that opportunity to open the season that way. It can only help prepare us as our non-conference schedule isn't shabby by any imagination. We go to a perennial Division II power in Lee University up in Tennessee to start our regular season, and then we come to Georgia, and Coach Robert Moore and his amoeba defense and the dudes he always has at Columbus State. We got to make that trip there, and then we go play in a tournament where we get to face, one of the guys I grew up watching, being a Georgia Tech fan, and Kenny Anderson, as he's the head coach of Fisk, at a tournament at Alabama Huntsville. And, we follow that up by playing Young Harris, a team that won 20-plus games last year, at that tournament as well. And, we then get right into league play, coming back home to Jacksonville and getting Central State and Coach Britt's own Kentucky State. He's definitely excited about that. People were calling him thinking we were going to Kentucky this year. Like he was going to pack the gym just for him.
Man, wow.
And then getting a home game with a new Division II member, even newer than us, and as far as basketball is concerned, and USC Beaufort, them coming to us, and again back to conference play, with Miles, and then we've got our other Division I exhibition, which is I guess you say the Battle of the Bridge, the Battle of Duval, when we face North Florida, and the rest of that schedule is conference schedule laid out, Tuskegee at home, and then making that trip to Tennessee, to Memphis and Cleveland, Tennessee, or Jackson, Tennessee, I'm sorry, with Lane and Lemoyne on. So it's tough. It's a tough schedule, man. And but we'll be prepared. We'll be ready. Guys have done really well in practice so far in our limited time. Obviously we only get 8 hours a week. Only 4 of those are on the court. Another 4 have to be weights or strength and conditioning. But guys have really bought into what we're doing. We're paying a lot of attention to detail. So we're excited about where we are right now, leading up into when we can really get going into our 20 hours per week, right after homecoming.
Man, I saw you guys drop the schedule, and immediately that's where my eyes went. That again, doing what I always know that you would do. I would say, Coach, give me some cupcakes, man. Coach, it's year 1, man, Coach. But it's funny knowing you and Coach Brent the way I know you guys. Like, it's just not gonna be that way. Like, you guys are gonna be battle tested every year. So when I see multiple Peach Belt teams on there, when I saw Lee on the schedule, when I saw the Division I teams on the schedule, not just the Division I, South Florida, Coach. A lot of people may not be as familiar with Coach Abdul Rahim as we are, even though if you watched the NCAA tournament last year, I don't know how you could not be familiar with him.
Correct.
But we know what he brought his luggage with him.
He did.
Louis.
He did. I mean, but not just, just the fact that Coach Driscoll would also take the opportunity to say,
absolutely,
hey, you're right in town. Let's do this. And I've known Coach Driscoll for a long time. And he to do that, and in this, we have this culture fraternity, man, is about relationships. And Coach Britt will tell you, man, they have the city, not just the city, like the high schools and the players and parents and community, but Jacksonville U, Coach Mincy and his staff, and Coach Driscoll and his staff have really integrated us into the city, my staff, and what we're doing. Where, come on over to practice, Coach, bring your staff. We've been to both of their practices. Jacksonville's been to our practice. Like, it's a tight-knit group, and we want to see all of us be successful and win here in Jacksonville. Now, I'm going to still tell them we are Duval now. I'm going to still tell them that. But we want them all to win, man.
Absolutely.
All to be successful.
I think that's a beautiful thing. Coming from my city, that Louisville, University of Kentucky, University of Indiana rivalry is so special. You guys are even closer.
Yes.
Than that. So that game has to take place. The game has to take place. And I'm happy you guys were able to get that done. And shout out to Coach Driscoll as well for helping get that done. He seems like just a great dude every time I see him in the gym.
Great dude.
Great dude. So
ever on the recruiting trail with him on a Sunday, get ready for your Dunkin' Donuts now.
I've seen them bring them in. I've never got one, but I've seen them bring them into the gym. But no, that's great, man. Coach, did we miss anything?
I mean, I don't know. Coach Britt may give you something on practice that he ain't never shared with me. I don't know. You didn't ask him his thoughts.
Yeah, you gotta ask me something specific, man.
Oh, I do have a specific question, though. Coach, when you walked out there on the floor for the first time, whistle, right, gear, and them kids is kind of staring you in the face. Like, how did that feel for you that first time out there with the guys?
Yeah, it felt good, man. I felt at home. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like it's where I'm supposed to be at. You know what I'm saying? And that's my sanctuary. It's my happy place, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So just felt good getting out there. I love that court. You know what I'm saying? I know it's a lot of, I know the young people love all the colors and stuff like that. You know, we grew up in an era where, courts like that didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, love the court. I don't know. It's just felt good, man. Felt good to get in the gym, get after it.
And we were the Tigers too, and we could not get a court like
that. Yeah.
Even as the Tigers in high school, we couldn't get a court like that.
I think it's still the same too.
Probably is still.
Dre, he ain't gonna tell you he was tweaking before practice, man. Like till we could get on the court with those guys, man. I need a basketball fix, man. When can we get on the court with these guys?
It's time to work.
Yeah.
Man, it's only so many phone calls and emails, man. Golly, let's get let's get to it. Let's get to it. I love the process. I love the individuals. I love all that, man. Like, you know what I'm saying, seeing guys learn. You know what I'm saying? I mean, them applying what they're getting taught, man. And it's a joy, man. It's a joy, like a true one for me. So.
Man, I got one down there. I'll tell you who he is, man. I need you to take care of him for me while he's down there. Make sure, smack him on the back of the head if you ever get out of line. You got our permission to take care of our guy. So we'll see how he does. He's a freshman, so he gonna need some work. But guys, man, we appreciate it. It's been great. Episode 4 of Tiger Vision. We are Duval with head men's basketball coach Cabral Huff. You guys be safe, be kind to each other. I know you two will, but everybody else, go out of your way, be nice to each other, man. Love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Peace.